Now, do you know that you could become a millionaire in a few months or in a few years just right from growing coffee? Well, in case you didn't know, these are the conversation we're going to have with this gentleman who is yet about to introduce himself. But just to take you a little back, a couple of months ago, we had chaos in our Ugandan parliament where the debate on coffee regulation took the center stage, with some saying it shouldn't be regulated, others said it should be regulated because it fetches hundreds of billions of dollars on the global market. Well, we're going to have that conversation with Mr. Karunji Fred. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes,
How are you
yes.
doing today?
I'm doing well.
Please
How
say
are you
hello
doing?
to our viewers and
Hello,
introduce yourself.
viewers. My name is Karunji Fred. I'm an agriculturist. I'm based in Busia, and here I'm at Subi Demonstration Farm. At Subi Demonstration Farm, we do a lot of activities in agriculture. This is a demonstration farm, the first of its kind in eastern Uganda, and we're based in Ilunyo sub-county in Busia district.
Thank you so much for that elaborate introduction. And just so to let you know, I've been at this demonstration farm in Busia district, just close to Namayingo, and they're doing exceptionally well. So please do visit them, learn a lot about coffee, learn a lot about goat farming, fish farming, rabbit farming, chicken, a lot. So that is the number you should call on when you want to visit this model farm.
Exactly.
Let's today talk about coffee farming.
Yes, coffee.
How lucrative is coffee farming in Uganda's economy today?
Actually, coffee is the third income generating activity. It generates close to 27% of our Ugandan GDP. So it is that lucrative that actually it employs, like they say, agriculture employs close to 70% of the population. And in Africa, actually, Uganda is blessed to be number two in Africa
as a coffee producer.
As a coffee producer. Yeah, it's Ethiopia that is better. It's slightly better than us. So we are actually the second best in Africa, and our coffee actually is the number one in the world. So coffee, why coffee? Coffee, if you look at how coffee should grow, how the climate, the soils, coffee in Africa, in Uganda is profitable in that coffee requires good climate, the good climate that we have. The coffee requires the rainfall, an average of 1,500 to 2,500 millimeters per year. And Uganda is blessed with rains. Coffee requires fertile soils, deep and fertile soils that Uganda actually is blessed with all over the country. Coffee requires deep soils, well-drained soil, and that's where we are best as an agricultural country. So coffee is possible in every area of Uganda. And in Uganda, we grow different varieties of coffee. Coffee in particular in Uganda, we grow two varieties. We grow the Arabica coffee and the Robusta coffee. And here we are in Eastern. Some would say where we are standing, we are only having Robusta coffee. Simply because Robusta coffee, where we are in Busia, can only be grown because of the climate. That is, because Robusta coffee requires a minimum of millimeters above sea level of between 1,000 to 1,500. And the Robusta coffee, Arabica coffee is actually grown in mountainous areas like the Elgon, the Rwenzori, and some parts of Nebi, Zombo, where they are at high altitude, because that one requires a high altitude. Okay. So Busia, where we are, coffee has not been that a good crop, or a crop that has been involved in by so many. But as we have been training farmers on several occasions, farmers have been adapting this crop, and it is now doing well. Like you can see in the background, our coffee is doing well. And we are blessed with a technical team from researchers from NARO that over time have gone producing on varieties that are able to resist different challenges, the diseases, talk about the different diseases that used that destroyed most of the coffee in Uganda, especially in Uganda, the coffee wilt disease, the coffee leaf rust, the coffee berry diseases. So those, they have developed varieties almost from narrow cast, narrow robusta coffee 1 to narrow robusta coffee 10. These varieties, they are now good. Now here where we have robusta coffee, narrow robusta coffee 9, and this variety is resistant to coffee diseases like leaf rust, coffee wilt disease, and coffee berry disease. So that's why you can see we have our berries looking good and our coffee is looking good.
So for starters, somebody who is asking, how do I start coffee farming?
Now, how do you start coffee farming? One, you should have land,
Okay.
because that is the major factor of production. You should have land, you should have knowledge. Yes, you should have knowledge because that is the basis. So have land, and at least you should have a minimum of half an acre or an acre, because coffee, like any other crop, is profitable when you at least have a good acreage. But unlike other crops here, coffee, you only do it once. Once you have planted your coffee, you are going to yield that very coffee for almost 100 years, because it is a perennial crop. So how do you start? How do you start? Like I said, coffee is grown in a well-drained soil, in a soil that this in the area that receives water annually throughout the year, and Busia and any other part of Uganda receive 2 rain seasons. So coffee, that's the basis. Once you have coffee, you have good soils, you have climate, the climate is right, so coffee is guaranteed to grow anywhere. Now, which variety, somebody will ask, which variety should we plant? Now, the varieties depends on where you are. The types depends on where you are. When you are in like Busia, like people of Busia will plant Robusta, because our altitude enables Robusta crops to grow. People who are in mountain Elegons, people in Mbale, people in Rwenzori, for them they will plant Arabica, because that's where it does well in high altitude. Coffee seedlings are available in Busia and all other parts. We have several nurseries in Busia district that can enable you to go and pick your coffee. The variety to
Thank you,
pick it, the
Dennis.
best
My
variety is now on the
story is
market,
one of dreams.
is Robusta Coffee 8, Robusta Coffee 9, Robusta Coffee 10. When you go to the nurseries, they will not tell you this is Robusta Coffee, this, but they will say KC 8, KSC 9, KSC 10. Those are the best crops, those are the best varieties of coffee on the market, because they are resistant to drought, they are resistant to crop pests and diseases, especially the coffee twingy pests that is disturbing the coffee, our coffee currently.
Okay. Can I pick, like, for example, the berries that I'm seeing here and go and make a nursery bed of my own? Can they come up? Like, can I get a good harvest after picking those berries and doing my nursery bed and getting my own seedlings?
Yes, when you take them, they will grow. But you will not get exactly the my coffee that you see. You will not get the big berry that you saw on my farm. Why? Is because you will be getting a next generation. You will not be getting the first generation. So I would advise our coffee farmers who are starters, who are going to start coffee farming, to go to the nurseries and get the first generations. So you should not pick from your farm and put them in the nursery and breed them for yourself. You will not get the best out of it.
So now I have gotten my my seedlings,
Yes.
okay, and from the nursery bed or wherever it is that I've gotten
Yes.
my seedlings.
Yes.
What do I do when I reach my farm? How do I prepare this land to be able to accommodate this coffee?
Thank you very much. When you get your seedlings from the nurseries, I would advise that at least they should stay unplanted for about 3 days.
Why?
So that at least you give them what we could call hardening. so that they get ready to face the harsh conditions that you find there. Now, before you get, I would advise that before even you go to the nursery bed to get the seedlings, one, prepare the land first.
Okay.
Provided, let me assume that you have already removed the stumps, you have cleared the bushes around your farm, so you are going to plant. How do we plant? First, we are going to dig our holes, and these holes are dug on the spacing of 10 feet times 10 feet. That is 3 meters times 3 meters from one plant
To
to
another.
another. And the hole is also a hole is dug on 2 feet deep and 2
wide.
feet
Wide.
down.
Why
Wide.
do we do
Yes,
that? Why do we give that spacing?
Why do
Because
we
I
give,
mean, I'm assuming if I compacted them closer, I would get more.
yes.
Yes, but then why are you giving me 3 meters apart when I could do 1 or 2 meters?
Yeah, now that this is like you see coffees, it's a tree. So if when you crowd it, you will not get past of it. First of all, they will compete for the nutrients and they will compete for sunlight. So they will just alliterate, they will just grow tall and fail to get the best of it. But that's not also the, you can squeeze, because now that is the ordinary, that is the Uganda way that you have been using to plant coffee. Because when if you want have now the land is reducing by the day, and we all want to produce. Now when you plant 10 feet 10 feet or 3 meters per 3 meters, in an acre you will get 450 plants.
Okay.
In an acre. But that one is somehow wasteful these days, provided the given conditions that we are in. Land is getting smaller and smaller by the day. So now we are advising our farmers, let's do it the Brazilian way. The Brazilian, for them, they do 2.5 meters from times 2.5 from one plant to another. That means
that is both width and length.
Both with from this one
to
the other one, you can call it a square from one plant to another. Yes. So that one will fetch you 680 plants
in an acre.
In an acre, an extra of almost 230 plants in an acre. That means you will be getting more from more yields from an acre.
Okay.
But that one also, I will caution the farmers that one also needs when your soils are more fertile, or when you are ready to apply more fertilizers and practice more agronomic practices in the field, so that you get the best out of it. Thank you.
Okay, so now after we've planted our, seedlings, they are probably, before we even go there, how old should the seedlings be? And from the time of, they've put on the nursery bed today, how long does it take before I get them to transplant to my garden?
Now, the thing is that these days, actually, the seedlings it will depend on which type of seedlings are you going to use. Are you going to use the grafted ones, or are you going to pick the berries from your farm, for example, to the nursery bed, and you wait for them to germinate and all that. So now the seedlings, if you are going to use the cuttings, the grafted ones, that one will take short time. Yes, the seedlings will have to wait for them for a period of 3 months to get around 3 to 4 leaves, so that you can be able to plant them.
When you talk about grafting, what are you talking? What are you meaning? Me, I'm a common man. I don't know those terms. What are you meaning?
Actually, in the science, grafting is a propagation means.
Okay.
The way you would plant your crops, the way you would produce, you would multiply your crops. So a cutting, if I may boil this, this is a leaf.
Okay.
This is a branch. So a cutting is got from this. So you can grafting, you can get this shoot and maybe graft it with another desired variety. Yes, get an old plant, then unite it
with another variety.
With another variety that you want. That's what we call grafting.
That takes shorter.
That one takes shorter, and it grows very fast.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's now take a look at management from planting. Let's now look at the management of our newly planted coffee.
Yes.
How do we go about that?
Now for the starters, those newly planted newly planted. Let's assume you have now prepared your land. You have dug the holes according to the way
And I've
we have
planted.
explained. You have planted.
Oh,
Now,
just before we go,
yes.
in the holes, what do we put? We just put our plant and we put soil?
Now, because now we are dealing with the farmers that we know, we would want, most of the farmers actually don't have what we may tell them to do.
What are those? You tell me so that I
Now
know.
in agriculture, for us, we say, go where farmers are, find them with what they have, help them to help themselves. So now, if you go to a farmer and you see the only source of income is his land, and he's having 2 acres, and that's where he grows his bananas, and that's where he grows his whatever. So what you do, tell him that, show him how to dig the holes. So after digging the holes to recommended the sizes and spacing, so you can tell now, put the topsoil this way, so that topsoil at the time of planting, you return it back. That one will act as our manure, that topsoil. But for those who have got capacity maybe to make organic manure, organic manure is, I mean, manure from our refuse. Refuse, I mean, the peelings we get from our bananas, from our food, the food we eat, the animal refuse, the dung, the poultry refuse, and also we can decompose. We can decompose our greens from the garden and make manure. So we use that manure to give our crop a starting capital, the nutrients that it needs to grow fast. Yes, but that can be done in the farm. But there are those that have capacity to go and purchase. So those will purchase synthetic manure or fertilizers, the DAP, the muriate of potash, the NPK, the ureas. So, but on planting, I would advise our people to use DAP or anything that has diammonium phosphates, because the phosphates will give them the capital to develop more roots for them to start up properly.
Okay.
So we have to apply manure at planting.
Okay.
Yes.
And after that, so what do we do next?
So after that, you mulch. You mulch that ground in order to conserve the soil, the water, the moisture in the soil. Then after mulching, you cover. You don't expose that coffee to direct sunshine. Yes, so that it can be protected for a little while as it gains its potential to stand on its own. Yes.
Okay, interesting. I have so far seen a lot of farmers who are doing coffee integrated with bananas. Why bananas and not any other crop?
Now, when you look at bananas, bananas are heavy feeders, yes, but it's a crop that will also release some water, though it takes much, but and also it provides the shade. And it's the food that farmer will need to take over time. That's why those are the basics why we should why some farmers intercrop them with bananas, because we need the food, and the coffee will need the shade, and also bananas after maybe harvesting, you release those left products to the garden to continue fertilizing the soil.
Okay, after mulching and after giving them shade, do we need to constantly supply them with water?
Now it depends.
How important is water in coffee farming?
It depends on the prevailing conditions. So, for example, we wouldn't advise our farmers to plant in dry seasons.
Okay.
Because now irrigating a crop, especially now those people, remember some of these crops are grown in highlands, whereby water is scarce up there. So at planting, you just can't fetch water from down, then up the hills. So, but in case you planted in a dry period, in the dry spell, it is important to irrigate those crops because the scorching sun and the high temperatures down there will affect greatly the crop.
How long does coffee take before we actually harvest our first batch?
Yeah, basically, how long will it depend? One,
On the variety.
on the variety. Two, on the managerial practices.
Oh,
Yes.
wait, if I have a variety that takes 6 months, but my management is poor, it will take how long? 1 year?
It's
I
like
thought
I've seen you. It's like a big man. So what happens if you underfeed your kid? He will become stunted, and will not get you. Will not take even actually. Will not take after you. So the variety, given that you have got the variety, you have also a good variety. You have also to follow the good managerial or agronomic practices.
Like
Supply
which
them
ones?
with water, mulch them, spray them against these nuisance insects, provide them with fertilizers, conserve the water, provide the shade, weed. You get prune the excess branches from the plant.
I thought if I have a lot of branches, then I have a lot of production.
That will there. Yes, that is your assumption, but there you will be causing competition. You'll be causing competition, so they will just grow thin, and you'll be putting on two so little bellies all around. So we have at least we should I recommend people to be leaving at least 3 to 4 standing trees on the or stems on the whatever on each plant. But to your question, you asked how long will it take for me to achieve the first fruits. Now, this coffee usually, under normal terms, takes close to 12 months to start flowering. Then that's when you will start. That will be its conception stage. That is when you will start getting the fruit, and the fruit will take 3 to 4 months to ripe. So between
1.5 to 2 years.
1.5 to 2 years.
Okay.
That's when you're most likely to get your crop.
I
berries.
sometimes see people when they are growing their coffee,
Yes.
it reaches a certain level and they cut off the top one
Yes.
to make this coffee have 2 other standing branches.
Yes.
Why is that so?
Because now if you are, like you can see there, we did it there. So that one is done in order to allow other branches, because if it grows, if you leave it, it will just grow
Like a
tree. And your purpose of growing this crop is to get as many berries as possible. So bend it. We usually bend it away from the sun towards the east, the west, so that it can produce more branches or more stems or shoots from the ground or from it, so that we can get as many but as limited as we need. Yes.
Okay, interesting conversation right here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're still watching, we are at Subi Domodo Farm here in Busia District. They are a model farm doing quite exceptionally well when it comes to training the community. So please reach them out on those numbers and they will be here to serve you. So let's now talk about the calculations here and there. In an acre, take for example, you said if I followed the 3-meter rule, I would get 400 plus stalks.
Yes.
If I followed the Brazilian way, I would get about 600. So what would be the ideal production in terms of volume?
Like I said, the harvesting of any other plant, because remember, agriculture is life. If you don't take care of your life, if you don't take care of it, you will not get the best out of it.
True.
So in ideal terms, in ideal conditions, given everything constant,
Proper management has
been followed, the variety is good. In an acre is most likely to give you 2.2 tons to 4.8 tons.
Okay.
That is around 2,200 kilograms to 4,800 kilograms per acre.
Okay. And
So
ladies and gentlemen, I have a calculator. In my area right now,
yes, it's okay.
coffee is being sold at about between 10,000 to around 15.
Yes.
So let's assume it's at 13,000. Okay.
Yes.
So 2,200 kgs of coffee from an acre.
Yes.
If we did a calculation of 13,000, that's Ugandan shillings, ladies and
Yes.
gentlemen. Our dollar rate right now is at 3,600.
And that's it is chiboko.
Yes, yes.
Yes, the patched one.
Yes.
The unshelled. Yes.
So no. I mean ours in Bulambuli.
Yes.
This one is already, removed from the husks.
Yes.
Yes.
That is that is kase. We call it kase.
Yes.
Okay.
So that one would give.
Let us. You go for the one because most of our farmers sell chiboko.
Chiboko.
Let us assume a chiboko.
So how much do they sell chiboko
around
in here?
Chiboko is between 8,500 to 9,000.
Let's give them 9,000 being the highest.
Yes.
Now the dollar rate, like I was telling you, is at 3,600 Uganda shillings. Now 9,000 times 2020, 200, it would give you 19.8 million Uganda shillings.
That is 1 acre.
So if I have about 10 acres,
yes,
that's about 198 million.
You see? Yes.
But you're saying I'm overshooting.
You're overshooting because we are a community. We want to develop this community from the grassroots. That's why we are located in a local place. We want our farmers, we don't want to scare our farmers. Our farmers want to move with them slowly.
Okay.
So let's assume that at least a farmer has 4 acres.
4 acres.
Yes.
Let's do the calculations.
Yes.
You're here with me. So if you have 4 acres and you're selling each kg at 9,000 times 2,200 kgs, 2.2 ton, times 4, that will give 9,000 times 2,200 kgs. That is 19.8. That's an acre times 4. That is 79 million.
200 million.
Yes, 79 million Uganda shillings. Listen, with just 4
acres. And that is the bare minimum, because remember I said that an acre, a minimum, produce 2,200 kilometers, and at maximum 480, 4,800 kilograms.
4.8 tons
yes,
of coffee, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, so if you go in, give an average of 3,000 or 3,500
yes,
per acre, you are in.
Tomorrow morning like this, I'm visiting a nursery bed and preparing my garden to grow coffee. No wonder it had brought a lot of debate in Parliament, in the Ugandan Parliament. So for those of you who didn't follow that conversation, please go on different, platforms that is also uploaded. So we did look at the profitability. We haven't looked at the challenges. What challenges there are in growing coffee?
Like I said, agriculture is life. And you can even think of any other business. There is a lot of challenges. And the reason why, I would go back to our ambition, our aspiration, why we set up this farm. Simply, we set up this farm to help the low income earners. To help our farmers in Busia to realize that actually agriculture is real. Agriculture can get them out of poverty. So the challenges, notwithstanding, we have to go. But let's just look at the challenges. One of the best challenge, the best one I would say, is people complain about lack of enough land. The people say challenge, people have refused to grow coffee because they are saying lack of enough land. But the beauty of it, we said, you plant coffee once and you yield for 100 years. The one I grew up being yield at my mother's place, it is still yielding. So land shouldn't be an excuse. You can grow so many trees as you wish, given the nature of your land. So some people are saying diseases. Yes, coffee gets diseases just like any other crop. We have nuisance coffee diseases. We have coffee bellies we have talked about. We have the coffee wilt disease. We have the coffee leaf rust. There are so many diseases. We have pests that affects our plants. You have the twigger, the coffee twig borers, the coffee berry borers. You have these days you have other nuisance flies that come and attack our coffee. But that shouldn't be an excuse, because we have the technician all around that can help us to overcome those challenges. So the challenges are many, but with knowledge, those challenges can be overcome.
In a few words,
Yes.
what is Suvi Model Farm doing to this community as we wind up, so that people get to know exactly how they can access you and stuff like that?
Sui Model Farm is a farm that is meant to help our local community, our farmers here in Busia, here in Buked region, to get out of poverty. How will they get out of poverty? By getting the knowledge. I usually tell my farmers where I go that people in Busoga grow sugar canes. Why? Because there is Meta, Kakila, there is Lugazi Sugar Works, that they are seeing what is being done. Here in Africa, we say believing is seeing. So we started this model farm to allow our farmers come and get the knowledge for crop, from the banana, how to grow banana, how the skills of growing coffee, of rearing birds, of keeping goats, of keeping bees. We have an apiary here, of taking care of the rabbits, the dairy cattle we have seen. So our essence here is to give knowledge, is to disseminate knowledge to our farmers. We want to call upon the institutions around us, the schools. Where do they take their children to? Agriculture is our backbone. If you have students who are doing agriculture, even those who are not doing agriculture, they will one time venture into agriculture, because in Africa, actually, everybody retires in agriculture. So everyone retires in agriculture. So before you retire to go into agriculture, please visit Sowi Bodo Farm and learn how agriculture is done. So our essence here is to give knowledge on different enterprises in agriculture. That's how basically we are.
Okay. So I have moved around your farm, and your coffee farm to be specific,
Yes.
and I've seen some beehives around.
Yes.
If I'm growing coffee, is it a
Yes.
must for me to have bees around the farm? And if so, what's the importance of having bees around my farm anyway?
Yes, when I was growing up, I would go around the bush and see butterflies all over, all other nuisance flies, the dragonflies flying around, and even bees. But these days, you can't rarely see butterflies, you rarely see dragonflies flying around. So if you have a farm, you need pollinators. Even before you think of bee products as honey, as a
Wax and all
wax
that.
and so and what have you, think of your farm. What is going to pollinate your farm? What is going to pollinate your coffee? What is going to pollinate your beans and all other horticulture crops? So bees should be a must at any serious farm. It is a lucrative business via selling the products, the bee products, but you also benefit as a farmer by bees pollinating your crops. So I urge every farmers out there, especially those who are dealing in coffee, in flowers, in what, if you want your crops to bear so many berries, to bear so many fruits, please, beekeeping is the way to go. Yes.
Interesting. So one of the key aspects that I've picked from his conversation is that coffee is a lucrative business, but only when you are ready to go in it with all that you can, because good and proper management will go a long way in ensuring that this product is actually lucrative for you. And another thing you can do is do what we call value addition. You don't necessarily have to sell your berries right from the farm.
Yeah.
You can have a machine somewhere, add a little bit of value, and see your monies multiply, if not triple in number. My name is Dennis Duke Onyala. Thank you so much for joining me always and supporting me. Don't forget to go to Sungra House Bukoto and support us, eat amazing foods. But also follow me on X or Facebook at Dennis Duke Uganda. Until then, it's a goodbye. See you in another video right here at Suvi Model Farm.